tonight are on the broad road that leads to destruction. And tonight, I would say with Moses, I would say with Joshua, turn, repent, choose God, serve Him, live for Him. That is the message of God tonight to this great audience of people at Yankee Stadium.
I see revival coming to planet Earth, maybe as never before. It would be untold numbers, an untold, uncounted multitudes that will be saved. The dead will be raised. The arthritic will be healed. Cancer will be healed. No disease would be able to stand before God's people, and that it would be a worldwide situation.
There's a church that doesn't just know about God, they know God. They don't just believe in His power, they carry His power. God will shake the United States of America one last time, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit.
Next big move, biggest move we've ever made for Revival Today. Behind me is a building that will look nothing like it looks right now when we finish. We're on just under 5 acres of property that we've just finished purchasing, which is going to give us the ability to have a state-of-the-art studio. And in that studio, something I've wanted to have for a long time, which is a live studio audience. It's going to be a 500-seat building when we finish with it that'll give us the ability to touch the world with our broadcasts. This facility is going to give me the ability to do what I've really missed, which is having you in the audience to minister to personally. Obviously, you can't beat the reach of digital media. We touch the whole world every day. But we have the ability now with this to lay hands on people, pray for people that are sick, a place where you can bring people that are drug addicted, demonized, and really give them the ministry that you can't get on YouTube and Facebook. I can't wait. And then beyond that, we're going to announce the launch of Revival Today Church. We're going to hold Holy Ghost church services every Sunday morning. I'll be there most Sunday mornings. This isn't going to be like some little side project. We're going to give you and your family a place you can go that's a soul-winning church that values the presence of God, where you can get prayed for and ministered to, where there's not a critical race theory lecture or a mass and social distancing 10 minutes of no talking to anybody in the lobby. None of that. We're going to have a place where you're free and where you're free to experience the presence of God.
I'm incredibly excited because I know a lot of you have been asking about different meetings and events that we couldn't have during COVID, and trust me, we tried so hard. So this really frees us up to do everything that we want to do with healing meetings and women's conferences. So I am so looking forward to seeing you and having you be a part of this.
So I want to give you a twofold call to action. Number one, if your church turned in to a liberal nightmare in 2020 and you need a place to go, I would be happy to have you at our church. Number two, if you are a partner or a friend of our ministry, Revival Today, this is the biggest move by far we've ever made. By the time we finish remodeling that building, the acquiring of the property, you're looking at a couple of M's. So if you would stand with us now, I'll say thank you ahead of time. Pray and ask the Holy Ghost what He would have you to do. You've been so generous, and I thank you ahead of time for your extreme generosity. I know I speak on behalf of my wife, everybody here at Revival Today, when I say we love you very much. And now I can say I look forward to seeing you face to face here at the new home of Revival Today.
Hey.
Fly me to the moon.
selected.
Good morning, everyone. It's Monday morning, June the 14th, 2021.
When's the longest day of the year? The 19th? 21st?
I'm not sure. It seems like every day is the longest day right now.
That's true.
And good morning, everybody.
Susan is watching from Montana. We have Ann watching from South Africa. Logan watching from Ruston, Louisiana. Where else are you watching from?
The markets are open. It's going to be a great week, everybody.
You have to understand how messy things really give me. I'm not going to say the anxiety word, but they could potentially give me anxiety. So the fact that these things are just thrown across the room is literally just horrible.
It's my favorite part of the day.
I'm sure it is. All right.
There's money flying.
What's the market doing today?
We're up on the Dow. Nope. Just kidding. Down on the Dow, down on the S&P, and up on the NASDAQ, up on the Russell. Crude oil's up. Gold is down a little bit. Silver's down a little bit. So, yeah, we got a good, decent start to the week.
Michael watching from New Hampshire. Mike Frost from Virginia Beach. Kansas City, Missouri, from all over the place. That's
San
pretty sweet.
Antonio, Texas. We had South Africa and Kenya, too.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, like and share the broadcast to anybody that you think needs some serious financial advice.
Today's title is China Cancels Bitcoin. Hashtag cancel culture. All right, let's go. Let's get started.
All right. First article. China's cryptocurrency mining crackdown spreads to Yunnan in Southwest. Media. What kind of a title is that?
I don't know.
All right, let's see the article. China's crackdown on cryptocurrencies has spread to the country's southwest with a campaign against misuse of electricity by Bitcoin miners in Yunnan province, local media reported on Saturday. In addition to concerns about the huge amount of energy needed for the computing power to create cryptocurrencies, the central government is also concerned about speculation after a surge in the price of Bitcoin. China accounts for over half of global Bitcoin production, but some miners have been considering moving elsewhere after the State Council, China's cabinet, vowed to clamp down on Bitcoin mining and trading last month. Everybody's moving to El Salvador. The Energy Administration of Yunnan on Friday issued a notice ordering a probe into misappropriation and unauthorized use of electricity by Bitcoin miners. Isn't it crazy, like, the government, like, misuse of electricity? Who are you?
Who are you? Are they communists or something?
They are. All right, let's keep going. Innovation something. Copy of the notice, which sets an end June deadline, was circulating on Chinese social media. Calls to the Energy Administration of Yunnan were not answered on Saturday. So they're cracking down on this. We talked about this a little bit on Friday, but it looks like China has canceled Bitcoin. Looks like cancel culture has hit Bitcoin.
I mean, is it just
they're
they're not canceling it? They're just trying to crack down on people's personal wealth. I'm sure. Their hand is gonna be in it because China.
Yes,
China.
And they want their Chinese yuan to be the new Bitcoin, but it's just like with buying anything from China. It's just not as good as buying it from somewhere else.
Yeah, it's true. It's really true.
So if we're not here tomorrow, it's because China has canceled the show.
That's not true.
Next.
Netherlands in the house. Okay. San Antonio, Colorado, Vineland, New Jersey, Hartford, Connecticut. Hello from England? Man. Wow, Patrick.
Global audience.
What? Who would have thunk? All right, let's go. Next.
Ooh, this is good stuff.
Okay, go.
Bidder splashes out $28 million to secure a seat next to Jeff Bezos and his brother on Blue Origin's new Shepard rocket on its first manned flight on the anniversary of the moon landing.
That's an expensive seat.
Wealthy
what
winner.
happens, you'd probably, in order to bid for a seat there, you have to meet all of the physical standards of going into space, yes or no?
Yes.
So you would have to meet, don't you think,
yeah,
that before you drop $28 million?
because there's regulatory requirements from the FAA, just like with an airplane. Like, if I just bought an airplane, I can't just, do charters with
Right.
it because I need to have, like, a charter certificate. So I'm sure that they have to go through all the regulatory procedures to have the plane be safe. The only other thing they could do is like make him a crew member, him or her.
Okay, but
crew
then
member.
But then what? But you still have to have like you're supposed to go through all this physical stuff even before becoming a crew member, like a bona fide astronaut.
But I think that just because they're not doing any spacewalks or anything like that we know of.
So they're just going to be sitting in the penis-shaped craft.
Yes.
$28 million.
$28 million.
Jeepers.
All right, let's see the article.
A 10-minute online bidding frenzy? I mean, there's people with so much money. That's funny money.
Yeah.
What?
An unnamed bidder paid $28 million at auction on Saturday for a seat aboard the first crewed space flight by Jeff Bezos' company Blue Origin as one of the 4 passengers, including the Amazon founder himself. The winner, whose identity will be disclosed in the coming weeks, beat 20 other participants in an auction launched in late May that wrapped up with a 10-minute online bidding frenzy live cast by Blue Origin. The July 20th launch, which coincides with the anniversary of the moon landing, will be the first test of Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket with people on board, kicking off the company's space tourism business. 15 previous test flights of the reusable rocket and capsule since 2015. Short hops lasting about 10 minutes were all successful. Man. So $28 million, and you can become a space tourist.
So what is short hops lasting about 10 minutes? So they were in outer space for 10 minutes and then they came back?
Or like up in the upper atmosphere of the Earth or something.
Interesting. This is bizarre. What do you think it's going to do to the Amazon stock?
I don't think
Up,
it'll
up?
do much
Not
to
much?
it. No.
Is it already overpriced, Amazon?
A little bit, yeah. But I think they still have some room to grow if they crush more competition.
Yeah. I mean, if they actually are successful in creating the first kind of like launch like this, I mean, how could it not go up?
Yeah. But I think Blue Origin, I think at some point he's going to take that company like public separate from Amazon.
I see.
'Cause I think it's still private at this point. Just like something that he's investing into. But space tourism. Just think how you feel on like
Tourism.
a cruise ship with 3,000 other people on it. If you're in space and there's literally no way
Patrick,
for
who
you
are
to
you
escape.
talking about? I would never get on a cruise. You know me.
That is.
There's only one cruise line that I would go on, and that's Ritz Yachts,
Yes.
and that's about it.
Because there's only 200 people.
100%. But I would never, I mean, and I always end up like ticking somebody off that watches. I will never go on a cruise.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
It's a cesspool of nasty. It's literally, I mean, oh gosh. Who would want to ever get stuck on Titanic? I mean, so many different.
With all the articles that came out, what was that, in 2019? Where like the toilets backflowed or whatever.
You better believe I
on
kept up on
Carnival
those.
Cruise Lines and stuff.
But then right before COVID, where people would get like would be a stomach bug.
Yeah.
That would literally flow through the entire cruise ship, so
Yeah.
people were like puking and all this kind of stuff.
Bad batch of chicken.
Why? Why would anyone? Heck no. Heck no.
The Amazon ship reminds me of the scene from Austin Powers. It does. That's what. Put up the picture of him sitting in the ship.
There's a picture of him sitting on the ship, huh?
He literally looks like Dr. Evil.
He really does.
The only thing he would have to do is this. And it would be like perfect.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Next article.
Dear Megalis, don't read those things out loud. Okay.
Bills that could force big tech breakups unveiled in House. All right, see the article.
What are the odds that this is actually going to happen?
Slim to none.
Because they're already in the pockets. They're lining the pockets of government officials. So it's as much as I think these are kinds of bills that are introduced so that these guys don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
So they're doing just enough to be noticed and be heard, but then at the same time, nothing falls through because everybody's in bed with these giant corporations,
Yep.
and it's.
I saw an
me
article
off.
this morning that Representative Jayapal I think she's one of the squad members.
Yeah. In
She brought
St. Louis?
a bill to the House.
Missouri?
That could be, yeah.
Yeah.
She brought a bill to the House that would not let congressmen and senators trade stocks.
Interesting.
And Elizabeth Warren is like on board with that too. But I'm pretty sure that's just because of re-election.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless they do something like DeSantis did, where you can basically sue social media giants for shutting you down, for stifling your First Amendment right. I think that's like a better direction than all this.
Then breaking
This is all
up the companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
See the article?
You got to hit them where it hurts.
A group of House lawmakers put forward a sweeping legislative package Friday that could curb the market power of big tech companies and force Facebook, Google, Amazon, or Apple to sever their dominant platforms from their other lines of business. The bipartisan proposals are the culmination of a 15-month investigation by the House Judiciary Committee's Antitrust Subcommittee, led by Democratic Representative David Cicilline of Rhode Island. It concluded that the four tech giants have abused their market power by charging excessive fees, imposing tough contract terms, and extracting valuable data from individuals and businesses that rely on them. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it because this would definitely affect Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Apple stock. Mm-hmm. All right, next. Why governments are afraid of Bitcoin. This was a very interesting article. It's a little long.
All right.
But yeah, I saw this weekend. Let's see the article. Bitcoin claims that it is the first decentralized peer-to-peer payment network that is powered by its users with no central authority or middlemen. One that lack of central authority is the primary reason governments are afraid of the cryptocurrency. To understand this fear, it is important to know a little bit about governments and conventional currencies. I thought this would be a good teaching lesson.
Go ahead.
Over the past decade, Bitcoin has gained attention not only from ordinary individuals, but also governments around the world. Some governments fear that Bitcoin can be used to circumvent capital controls, can be used for money laundering or illegal purchases, and could be risky to investors. Still others have voiced more systemic concerns over the decentralized cryptocurrency's potential to destabilize or undermine the authority or control of central banks. Yeah, who put those central banks in control? All right. Next.
But I just think that go back one for a second. When we talk about just cryptocurrencies, that's a huge one. Some governments fear that Bitcoin can be used to circumvent capital controls, can be used for money laundering or illegal purchases, and could be risky to investors, as though the U.S. dollar can't be used for any of those things.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bizarre. In fact, like yesterday we covered on Check the News, there was the FBI confiscated $86 million in cash from a Beverly Hills lockbox.
86 million. How big was that?
Listen to me. In cash.
How big was that lockbox?
There was 800 lockboxes. Oh I guess the stuff was found in 23 of them. But they basically have some evidence that proves that there was a $1.5 million in chips, Las Vegas chips. There was a whole bunch of stuff that they ended up confiscating, but $86 million in cash. So if you think about it, Abel was like $1 million in cash is 46 inches tall.
Yeah.
So think about that. So I think it's just interesting how all of this talk about cryptocurrency being used for illegal purchases and it could be risky, whatever, like as though the U.S. dollar doesn't already do that.
Or that's why they're trying to move away from cash too. Because then they can fully control it because it was found in cash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can launder cash, but you can't launder digital currencies from the central bank.
I bet it was El Chapo's.
Could be.
Seriously.
His wife, wasn't she just in court 2 or 3 days ago?
She was. I don't know what they did to her though.
Yeah.
I know his son. They basically gave him a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like 2 years or something.
Huh.
Yeah. 2 years to gather up the spoils and head out.
Get back to Mexico. Get right back to it.
For real. All right, continue. This is interesting.
In what do we trust? Fiat is a term used to describe the conventional currencies that are issued by governments. Fiat currencies, not the vehicle fiat. Fiat currencies have value because governments say that they do. To an increasing number of people, that promise means nothing. After all, fiat currencies are not backed by any tangible assets. You can return the currency to the government in exchange for a bar of gold. You can't. Or silver, can of beans, or a pack of cigarettes, or any other items that might have value to you. Fiat currencies are backed by the full faith and credit of the government that issued them and nothing more. If you want gold, silver, beans, or smokes, you need to exchange your fiat currency with a person or entity that possesses the item that you want.
Right.
Keep going.
So this is basically just saying the dollar is not backed by any kind of...
Yeah, dollar's not backed by
It's basically
anything.
just backed up by their credit, by the government's word.
Yes.
Which,
which in the 1950s, yes, absolutely. But right now, I don't believe any politician.
no kidding.
None of them.
When was it officially not backed by gold? 74?
It was in the early 76, I want to say. I'm not 100%, but it was in the 70s when they went off of it fully. Governments control fiat currencies. They use central banks to issue or destroy money out of thin air, using what is known as monetary policy to exert economic influence. They also dictate how fiat currencies can be transferred, enabling them to track currency movement, dictate who profits from that movement, collect taxes on it, and trace criminal activity. They should have really done like a Grammarly on this.
No kidding.
All of this control is lost when non-government bodies create their own currencies. Control over currency has many downstream impacts, perhaps most notably to a nation's fiscal policy, business environment, efforts to control crime. While each of these topics is broad and deep enough to fill volumes, a brief overview is enough to provide insight into the general concept.
So ultimately, it's just the control that they're after, because the dollar, the US dollar versus, like, say, Bitcoin, has the same backup. So it's just being backed up by somebody's word, ultimately.
Yes.
So that's where the conflict lies, is that they're control of one, and the other one is not in the control of the
Even
feds.
though it's created like, out of thin air, basically, a Bitcoin, just like monetary, just like the US dollar.
Right.
But who would you trust more?
Well, that's a great question, because this is something that we talk about all the time on this show. And it's something that I always go back and sometimes I'll read the comments, and people get offended that we're talking about Bitcoin. And it's like, how dare you come against the US dollar? This is, it's treason, all this kind of stuff. But then when you start looking into the actual US dollar, you realize this is nothing.
Yeah.
They're in so much debt. I mean, it's kind of scary.
It is. And if they don't, they need to like turn the ship around. They need to actually turn the ship around when it comes to the US dollar.
We've
Otherwise,
talked
it's going to
about
be
this at
Yes.
length, you and I. Because
Just last week, Russia sold $5 billion of their reserve currency in US dollars and is now exchanging it with euros and yuan, the Chinese yuan. So if you look at that, if more countries start doing that, then the US can't take on debt like it used to, because their currency isn't going to be the worldwide global reserve currency anymore. They're going to lose that status to the Chinese yuan and the euro.
Yeah.
So they need to tread carefully, and people need to understand that the US dollar isn't what it was in the 80s, 90s, or even the early 2000s. It's been destroyed basically
And it
with the
continues
amount of debt.
to be
Exactly.
destroyed. Yeah.
And if they push through all of these fiscal stimuluses, and they print more money and they take out more debt for infrastructure and all of these things, yes, it might help the stock market in the short term, but what is it going to do to the U.S. in the long term?
Right. And so the idea is that there's people in high places. Let me just get a little bit like weird at this point. And there's people in high places that are intentionally crippling this dollar. For what purpose?
So that America is not as strong as it used to be anymore.
But it would
so you look at
ultimately
like
be like so that eventually because if the U.S. dollar collapses, the whole entire world is screwed.
yes,
So at this point, it's like, if you weaken that dollar, is it more of an incentive to have a one world currency, or?
yeah, it would be more out of an incentive, because if the U.S. dollar collapses, there would be an economic crash for sure.
Sure.
And that could usher a one world currency in, because they'll have to come up with something to regain control. But right now, the U.S. dollar is just being weakened because all of these countries that we consider enemies, that have the US dollar as reserve currency are getting rid of the US dollar. They're like, okay, if we're your enemy, then we're going to get rid of the US dollar.
Interesting.
Placing sanctions on all these countries. You know, some countries need sanctions placed on them, like Iran for sure.
For sure.
But like, you know, Russia and China and I don't know. China has been trying for a long time to devalue or to take out the dollar and become the dominant reserve currency.
Absolutely.
And right now they're succeeding. Mm-hmm. And so the U.S. needs to, like, you know, step it up for sure, the U.S. government.
Right. Because when we start talking about like how they hacked, you know, how it's basically China that's hacking all of these major government websites, and they're taking just different inventions, ideas. They're taking the same like vaccine ideas, and then they're just basically creating them in a cheaper version in China. That's crippling the U.S. economy. Yes. So those are the kinds of things that like people talk like very little about, but it's these kind of slow little leaks that. Yeah. My goodness.
So the oil market is paid for in U.S. dollars. Yes, it is. And in the majority of the world, it's still paid in U.S. dollars. But between China and Russia, they trade in their local currencies. So even there, it used to be traded in U.S. dollars, and now it's traded in their local currencies.
Yeah, that's
so there's already you know, cracks in the wall there.
So how can you strengthen the U.S. dollar when we talk about Trump saying that China should be fined $100 trillion for what they did?
Yes.
Would that help the U.S. dollar?
I don't know. I don't think that would ever happen. They can fine them all they want. China's not going to comply with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that they would be like, no, we're not paying that.
How do you get out of trillions of dollars of debt?
First of all, pass a budget, a balanced budget. Cut back on government spending. They're spending so much money on useless stuff, useless research. If you look at like all the earmarked things, like things they're spending money on research, why don't invest that in actual research? Okay, what is the next technology? 5G technology, electric vehicles, hydrogen. Why don't we take those government dollars that are being spent on useless research and spend it on that and try to like prop up those industries, create entrepreneurs, and then become the leader in every single one of those industries.
Mm-hmm. That's good. All right, we're getting off on a tangent. All right, let's finish this.
Fiscal policy, business of Bitcoin. Bitcoin users don't need the existing banking system. The currency is created in cyberspace when so-called miners use the power of their computers to solve complex algorithms that serve as verification for Bitcoin transactions. Their reward is payment with cyber currency, which is stored digitally and passed between buyers and sellers without the need for an intermediary. On a smaller scale, airlines reward miles function in a similar way, enabling travelers to purchase plane tickets, hotel rooms, and other items using airline miles as virtual currency. Keep going. If Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency become widely adopted, the entire banking system could become irrelevant. While this may sound like a wonderful concept in the light of the recent behavior of the banking industry, there are two sides to every story. Without banks, who will you call when your mortgage payment gets hacked? Mm-hmm. How will you earn interest on your savings? Who will provide assistance when a transfer of asset fails or technical glitch occurs? While the financial crisis gave bankers an even worse reputation than they already had, there's something to be said for institutions that oversee timely, effective, and trustworthy asset transfers and their associated record keeping. There's also the issue of the fees banks earn for the services they provide. Those fees generate a lot of revenue and a lot of jobs across the global banking industry. Without banks, those jobs disappear, as does the tax revenue those banks and their employee paychecks generate. Money transfer businesses would also disappear in a virtual world. Nobody needs a Western Union or its competitors if everyone is using Bitcoin or another currency for cross-border payments. Keep going. So there's crime concerns, obviously, with Bitcoin. We've gone over that before. The other side, aside from headline-grabbing fact that virtual currencies can and are used to engage in a wide range of illicit activity, there's a legitimate theoretical argument in favor of their use. It's based on the reality that central bank tinkering with the money supply has induced recessions, exacerbated unemployment, and given rise to a global banking system based on profiteering and corruption. We need to look only as far as the mortgage market shenanigans underpinning the financial crisis of 2009. For insight into why disaffected consumers everywhere could support the efforts of anonymous programmers in subverting a system that has done them no favors. These ideas are not new. The Austrian school, a school of economic thought founded in 1871, holds among its core tenets the idea that economic manipulation by central banks is not beneficial, and I agree.
Continue.
Keep going. Before you buy in. So yeah, there's obviously, pros and cons. Keep going. So what does the future hold for Bitcoin and other virtual currencies? It is safe to say that they are here to stay. You can use the virtual currency to make purchases in a wide variety of video games, and at some retailers like Overstock.com and TigerDirect.com, you can also use Bitcoin to safely purchase gift cards for hundreds of businesses. However, the Bitcoin website notes that Bitcoin is not a fiat currency with legal tender status in any jurisdiction except for El Salvador. Yes, there we go. And based on the regulatory and enforcement actions of major governments, including the United States and Russia, that status is unlikely to change anytime soon. There was also an article this morning that there's one economic policy advisor for the Netherlands that said that Bitcoin should be banned.
Interesting.
So they're trying to crack down on it because they know that the more people get on board with this, if there's another spike, because in every single one of those Bitcoin or crypto spikes, more and more people have jumped into it.
Right.
And the more people jump into it, the less control they're going to have.
For sure.
All right, next article. Bitcoin boosted as Elon Musk says Tesla could adopt it again in future. Oh man.
What?
He's a flip-flopper.
When was this?
This was this morning or last night.
That's very interesting because yesterday I read an article saying Elon Musk has been pretty silent about cryptocurrency, so they must have silenced him. And it was this full article about how, the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin giants or whatever have probably silenced him at this point.
Yeah.
But there he speaks.
He had a tweet. Somebody tweeted something. I don't know how he finds these tweets.
No joke.
All right, let's see the article. Cryptocurrencies were buoyed on Monday morning in London as Tesla boss Elon Musk tweeted that the electric car company would resume accepting Bitcoin once it becomes more environmentally friendly. Bitcoin, the most popular cryptocurrency, was up more than 12% by 8:10 a.m. following a rocky weekend, and it was trading at around, I think that's incorrect, $55,000. That has to be incorrect.
For what?
$39,000 maybe, but not. Other cryptocurrencies were brought up in its wake.
But that's 39,000 euro, no?
Pound, yeah.
Pounds or whatever.
With the second largest cryptocurrency, Ethereum, rising 7.3%. Do we have the tweet? I believe it was in the article. There we go. Cointelegraph. Did you see Elon Musk is catching flack again? But what's it for this time? Signia CEO Magda W. lambasted him by saying, "What have we seen with Bitcoin is what we've seen with Bitcoin is price manipulation by one very powerful, influential individual." And then he replied, "This is inaccurate. Tesla only sold less than 10% or around 10% of holdings to confirm Bitcoin would be liquidated easily without moving the market. When there's confirmation of reasonable, around 50% clean energy usage by miners with positive future trend, Tesla will resume allowing Bitcoin transactions." So when he said that, everybody was like, "Oh, Elon's back, back with us."
Yeah.
He's back. The king is back.
So Bitcoin is up 12.8% today.
What's it at? 38?
What is this? It is at 40,000.
40,000. Wow. Awesome. All right, next. Electric truck maker Lordstown CEO. We talked about this last week.
Oh, snappy dappy.
CEO
So
and
he was
CFO
losing so much
resign.
money, couldn't even handle it. He had to step down.
Shares slump. So they're down even more. I'm glad I didn't invest in them.
No kidding.
All right, let's see the article. Lordstown Motors Corporation on Monday announced the sudden departure of its chief executive and finance head just days after the electric truck maker warned that it may not have enough money to stay in business over the next year. The resignations of founder and CEO Steve Burns and chief financial officer Julio Rodriguez come as the company's board reported conclusions from an internal investigation to claims made by short seller Hindenburg. Lordstown acknowledged that it had overstated the quality of pre-orders. See, a lot of these electric companies are doing that. They're overstating the quality of pre-orders for the company's electric trucks, but rejected as false Hindenburg's accusations that it overstated the viability of its technology and misled investors about its production plans. The company named lead independent director Angela Strand and executive chairwoman to oversee the firm's transition until the appointment of a permanent CEO. Becky Roof, who had previously served as interim CFO at numerous companies, including Eastman Kodak and Hudson's Bay Company, was named interim finance chief of Lordstown, effective immediately. So a lot of these electric car companies, you have to be careful and make sure that they actually have firm orders. Otherwise, they just overstate their pre-orders, get their share price to go up. It's
Because they get everybody excited, but
gets everybody
there's
excited,
no
yeah.
interest. Yeah.
And there's no interest. And there's so many of these companies that are coming out now that eventually there's going to be a thinning of the herd, where some of them just go into bankruptcy and cease to exist, or they get bought up by other companies.
Absorbed,
Or
yeah.
technology gets bought up.
Mamacita.
Next. Since the going concern warning last week and a free fall in share price, the company has tried to allay some worries by saying it was in talks with multiple parties to raise funds. Lordstown and fellow EV maker Nikola, both of which went public via acquisitions by SPACs, have become a target of short seller Hindenburg. In March, Hindenburg disclosed that it had taken a short position in Lordstown stock, saying the company had misled consumers and investors.
Interesting.
Next.
Oh, can I just tell you, yesterday I went to, Saturday. I went to Sonic.
Yes.
Because I have to have at least one Reese's peanut butter McFlurry or something of the sort a day. Seriously, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay, I'm 24 weeks pregnant, and so I get there. Over half of their whatever is totally gone. So they were out of there's company shortages. So including Reese's. So your girl had to. I was very angry, but so I had to do cookie dough. I ate the whole thing, but still. So they were out of Reese's. They were out of tater tots. They were out of French onion, or not the onion rings. They were out of certain patties. They were out of, M&Ms. I couldn't get my kids M&Ms, the M&M flurry thing. They were out of so many different things, and it was shocking to the point where Abel was like, "Is this the beginning of the end?" That's what he said. We were really concerned for Sonic. So, this is in light of all the shortages in this country. People are hungry, and I'm hungry. Thank you. Rama, you are such a master. You are such a master. Was that Ram or was that Step? He's such a doink.
You felt that when you said Reese's shortage.
Seriously, it's the worst thing ever. And then what's interesting is that in Tampa, there's something about Reese's peanut butter that I must have every single day. And on the GPS, you know how you could see this is where a McDonald's is, on Waze? Yeah. There was just Reese's. There's a Reese's symbol every half mile. I was like, what is happening? Anyways, Chipotle raises its prices.
Yes.
For the same reasons McDonald's is.
McDonald's raising prices too?
So they remember how I told you about the automated?
Oh,
whatever?
That's right. Yeah.
And so they were basically saying that since the minimum wage is going up higher, they have to make some changes and adjust. So let's read that article, please. Chipotle. We're not. I mean, we don't have to. Rom's like so mad. He's like, we are not reading to the Chipotle.
No, the Chipotle one.
Chipotle.
There we go.
Chipotle raises prices, and now this analyst sees the stock surging 30%.
Mm-hmm.
What? How?
They're trading at around $1,200 to $1,300 right now, and they see the stock at around $1,800 from Raymond James analyst Brian Vaccaro.
Wow.
We believe recently announced menu price increases, 4% in recent weeks, more coming in the fall, create one significant upside to the second half consensus, and two, increased confidence in our above street 22 earnings per share estimates versus consensus. We believe Chipotle has a very strong value proposition. Chicken burritos still sub 8 in many markets, and that price increases to cover higher wages will result in limited customer resistance. Chipotle had already increased their wages to 15. I believe it was like minimum $15. Mm-hmm. So they're ahead of the pack when it comes to a lot of this because they've already increased their wages.
Wow, interesting.
While recent wage increases will require an adjustment to management's margin recovery algorithm, we remain confident in its ability to recapture best-in-class store margins 25% plus. Those are great margins.
My goodness.
Chipotle shares rose by as much as 2% in pre-market trading Monday. The stock has fallen about 2% year to date. So if you want to risk it and get in, now's the time to get in. And could be sitting at $1,800, 30%. That's not a bad return.
Bob Drain writes, do you believe that stocks in food providers like fish hatcheries is a good investment thinking of food shortages?
I think that short term, yes. Mm-hmm. Short term, we're going to see those stocks go up a little bit. But I don't know if that's going to be a good long-term play.
Interesting.
Next article. How Japan's big bet on hydrogen could revolutionize the energy market. So this is a long article, but basically what it's saying is that Japan's biggest companies like Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Kawasaki, they're all getting into the hydrogen market. But it's very interesting. If you guys want to go read this article on the Wall Street Journal, it's very interesting. They go into how hydrogen is produced and how it actually increases the carbon footprint because of how advanced it is to create hydrogen. Because you have to create it from natural gas or oil.
Okay.
And so people are saying hydrogen is like the next thing. You know, we're going to use hydrogen as a renewable, but you need gas and oil for it to be a renewable.
Right. So it's counterproductive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it just sounds good.
How bizarre.
It's like if we get, rid of cotton, put more polyester in our clothing.
Right.
That's more oil, that's more gas. Because you needed to put that in production.
What's the cleanest form of energy at this point?
Solar, probably.
It's kind of weak, a little bit.
Yeah.
Pretty expensive.
It is. But even with that, they had a graph in that article. Did you guys get the graphs? There's one graph in there that shows the renewables per country. It's like green and yellow and gray. Mags, have you ever tried the Reese's peanut butter donut from Krispy Kreme?
Who said that?
Lyric.
Lyric, I didn't even know that existed. Oh my lord. Looks like I am headed down to Washington, PA to get me some Reese's peanut butter donuts. Is it like the peanut butter? Is it dipped in the peanut butter? If so, your girl is leaving right now. We're cutting the show short. Or is it like sprinkled with Reese's peanut butter pieces? Anyways.
Either way, I mean, that sounds delicious.
But there is, if it was doused in the peanut butter and Reese's peanut butter, that would be.
It's just a fried donut of Reese's peanut butter. Battered.
Is it really?
I don't know.
Cream? I'm like, Lord help me! Somebody answer.
It's probably only a Texas thing.
Yeah, it's probably only a Texas thing. Let's freaking forget that.
Do you guys have the article? Because in order for these, Japan said in the article, they said that they won't even be able to reach their goals by 2050 using just the renewable energies they have now. So this is already falling apart, and now they're pushing all these electric vehicles, and we all know that's going to cause more drain on the grid.
Because I remember Scott Adams, he had like an entire podcast on energy sources and how hydrogen is like really pathetic, and then he just goes along and basically says that nuclear energy is still
the
most
safest,
efficient,
cleanest,
and safest.
Yep. I mean, if you put it right next to an ocean where a tsunami can hit it, then maybe that's not so smart, but yeah.
Who would do that, though? Just kidding.
Oh, okay. We're going to get canceled by China and Japan tomorrow, so if we're not on. All right, we can do the next article. Oh, no problem. Global ad spending expected to rebound faster than previously forecast. Spending in 2021 is expected to jump 19%, pushed by a 26% jolt in digital ads. So that just means that Google, Facebook, Apple, and those companies are going to benefit from that. So there might be more upside on their stocks. All right, let's get into the stocks to research today.
Yeah.
Walmart is the low risk.
It is pretty low risk.
It is pretty low risk.
Walmart's the good trusty, the good old faithful.
Always there.
When you need them.
Yep. Open 24 hours most
right.
of the time.
Yeah. Just sketchy people in there, but still.
You don't want to go there at 2 a.m.
Never. Learn your lesson. Or just strap a weapon at that point.
Walmart is a food and staples retailing store, in case you didn't know. Have in the last couple of years increased their online presence. So they have 3 segments: Walmart US, Walmart International, and Staples. They were actually in Germany at one point, and Aldi pushed them out.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So it's Walmart. As far as I know, they're not in Germany anymore.
Wow, interesting. What would Walmart's, would it be Walmart?
Walmart, yeah. Walmart.
Walmart. We must go to Walmart.
It's been in many portfolios for many years. I mean, that's usually one that people pick. They have a small dividend, slow revenue growth, but when you're that large, I mean, you're not going to have major revenue growth.
Listen, Cap Calloway just said some fighting words. He said, Aldi's is brutal.
Aldi's is, but everything's organized. If you know what you're doing at Aldi, you can be in and out quick.
So I'll tell you this, Cap Calloway, they did a study on organic produce and frozen, in particular, frozen produce. Organic 365 has no vetting process, and a lot of that stuff is coming in from China. So what they call organic could be basically not organic. And then, so they basically said that, did you know that,
I love
Steph?
them.
Yeah. And so they basically said that the number one place for organic frozen produce, so if like frozen peas, frozen vegetables or whatever, is Aldi's. So it has the cleanest, purest food that you can get. Now, also, if you get their meats, we did when Abel did just the red meat diet, he would have we would have to order like stacks of steaks and stuff.
Yeah.
The best tasting steaks came out of there too.
Yes, I agree.
So you may not get your, Doritos chips or your favorite brand.
Yeah.
Mott's, whatever. But you can get some really good stuff at Aldi's.
Yes.
What about Trader Joe's? Trader Joe's came in, I think it was like second or third with their organic produce, but only after
Fun
Aldi's.
fact,
I'm ready.
Trader Joe's belongs to Aldi.
It does.
In Germany, there's Aldi North and Aldi South, and Aldi South is Aldi in the U.S., and Aldi North is Trader Joe's in the U.S.
Interesting.
So both of them are Aldi's. So if you're shopping at Trader Joe's, you're like, I don't go to Aldi's, I go to Trader Joe's. No, you go to Aldi's.
That's awesome. So there you have it. So, okay, Walmart.
Yes, Walmart.
Pretty low risk.
Pretty low risk. Gross profit, net profit margins are stronger than most of its competitors. They would have little problems paying back their debt. it's about 30% debt to capital ratio, 36%. It's trading at around $140 a share. If I bought it now, I would sell it at 160
Okay.
and then wait for another dip. I don't think that can go much higher than that.
Yeah. What are the Waltons doing?
They sold a bunch of their stock,
They did,
their
huh?
Walmart stock, yeah, to put into their foundation or something.
Interesting. I'm just wondering. All right.
All right,
Give me some
medium risk for all my South Africans out there.
Okay.
DRD Gold Limited. The ticker symbol is DRD.
Dirty.
Metals and mining company based in South Africa.
Okay.
Owns mines and metallurgical plants around 50 kilometers east of Johannesburg. They have a great dividend yield around 6%, trading around $12 a share off its 52-week high at $18 a share. Has a buy from multiple investment firms. Fairly low price to book ratio compared to its peers. Risks include drops, obviously, in precious metals prices.
Mm-hmm.
COVID shutdowns in South Africa were fairly brutal.
Very.
So,
and they still remain brutal,
yeah.
no?
Government of
locked
South
down,
Africa.
Yeah?
So those are some of the things. But I think that this is a good medium risk company, especially because of the 6% dividend yield. I would buy it just for that.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And then the high risk right now is up about 16%.
Ooh.
Corsair Gaming designs and supplies hardware components for personal computers.
I can't do
Looks like
gaming.
another Wall Street bets pump.
Really?
Was up over 28% pre-market.
No way.
It might be a good one. I mean, their average volume is 2.2 million. Today's volume is already at 19.9 million. They're a strong buy, but I don't know if they're worth, that much. But it might be a good one to play today or even this week. See how it goes. Keep an eye on it for sure.
Wow. So there you have it. Low risk. Let's do a little recap. Low risk is Walmart, or if you're from Germany,
Walmart.
Your medium risk is DRD, South African company. Right? And then, of course, your high risk is this gaming company that's being pumped
Corsair.
to the nine.
Cap Calloway says Corsair is a good brand. They have quality computer parts.
Interesting.
They are considered a strong buy. So people like the company, and they have over 2,400 employees. It's a fairly large company.
Wow.
I
Where are they
didn't
based
know
out of?
that. Out of California. Fremont, California. All right.
Perfect. Everybody keeps
So
talking.
that's it.
Listen, I'm not the only one excited about this. Look at all this peanut butter, bags. They have Reese's Overload Chiller. Where, Alice?
Bethany always gets the Reese's concrete thing from Rita's. It's pretty good too.
Is it concrete thing?
It's like I don't know, some sort of ice cream thing. It's really good.
Can't wait. Trying all of them. Not playing around. Is CSRS correct? Not seeing it on Ameritrade.
I'm sorry, CRSR. I said that incorrectly. CRSR.
Good catch. CRSR.
Yes, good catch.
David Whitley, he is not wasting any time.
Kristen Jenkins says Aldi is the GOAT, and I must agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, with the quarter and the machine, and then you get the quarter back. It's just kind of like annoying, but it's a great place.
But it makes people put their carts back. You don't have to hire somebody just to collect carts from the...
Exactly right. Except maybe just mine, because I never put it back. Either way.
It's not worth a quarter.
Yeah, my time is worth more than this. Keep the quarter. All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's
Today?
it for today. I got some more to research for tomorrow, and then, yeah.
All right. If you have any questions on any stocks, now's your chance to ask. As we take today's... we do the offering today.
Yes.
So here it is. If you are watching Revival Today. This is a ministry that is after souls. We are doing some amazing things. We're launching a church in the fall. And as we speak, Evangelist Jonathan and Adalis are on their way back from St. Louis. And so they're also going to be in Nebraska. So you are invited if you are watching from Nebraska, seeing as we have a worldwide audience, who knows where people are watching from. But June 18th through the 20th, we're headed to Nebraska for the first time ever. So there you have it, 18th through the 20th at Elevate Church. You are invited. This is your gift for your donation of any size. It's an amazing mug for you to start your day with a fresh, delicious cup of coffee in your Check the Market mug. And that is yours for a gift of any size. If you're watching on Facebook, use hashtag donate. If you'd like to text to give, text RT to 50155. Cash App, $RT Give, Venmo RT Give. Internationals can use PayPal, revivaltoday.com/PayPal. We're also accepting cryptocurrencies of all kinds. You can either scan the code or go to revivaltoday.com/give for all of the information. There you have it. And then, of course, if you want to mail in a check, Revival Today, P.O. Box 7, Prosperity, PA 15329. Don't forget to claim your offer for that amazing mug at revivaltoday.com/offer. If all of this is still too confusing, we'd love to walk you through it. 412-446-2332. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Any questions? I can't see any questions for tomorrow. Hope you have an amazing day, Lyric. Next up is going to be a broadcast at 4 p.m. with Mrs. Maddie Ortiz. And of course, every night we end with Check the News at 11 p.m. Tonight may or may not be hosted by Evangelist Jonathan. We'll see, as he's still making his way back from St. Louis. But there's our schedule for the week. Thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for another fresh episode of Check the Market.
And see you tomorrow.
Bye.